People are people, no matter what business or company that they're with.
How many people we lost along the way and we're having a big change right now in real estate. I started out at $6.94 an hour. That was big money.
You have to look at the people that have been in the game for a very long time, which is one of the reasons why I respect Vince. But my grandfather became a dentist. And so at that time, the women didn't work.
How do I sell to NFL players, NBA players, NHL players, WWE wrestlers, all of which I've done? I'm not just randomly throwing those out there.
So there's no difference with Gene Frederick with EXP and Robert Palmer with LPT and, Sharon and Tamir with Real in their positions there. Maybe they're not owners.
Glenn Sanford.
Yeah.
You're making the money. You're putting a team together. You're helping people structure their lives. It always just kind of blows me away.
Welcome back to the Real Deal podcast. I am your host today, Betsy Tenervin, and I'm here with the one and only
Vincente Arcuri. There's a lot of people call me Banksant.
Yes. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. Vince and I just want to bring you things on a weekly basis. If you're in the real estate game, you're an entrepreneur, we are super excited that you have subscribed to our channel as well as liked the Real Deal Podcast Facebook page that has how many followers now?
17,000 followers we just passed, so I'm loving it.
I love that. Everyone that watches us every week, we just want to thank you for being here. And today we're actually going to talk about something super distinguished because a hot topic on the streets is, we've made a career change, Vincent.
Uh-oh, here we go. Yes, we have.
And so we're not really going to discuss any specifics on the different brokerages. As you know, we're both real estate professionals. What we are going to talk about is that people are people, no matter what business or company that they're with. And so I want to take people back a little bit because I think we've lost sight of this. And I know you and I have been guilty of it as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I just want to talk to Vince a little bit. I had him on the radio show once and I did an interview with him. And I really want to take you back to where Vince's real estate career started. Vince, where did you come from before real estate?
Well, I started when I graduated high school. I started working at Tampa Electric as a janitor in 1981.
Did you have hair then?
I had a full head of hair back then. Yes.
So did you use so much Mr. Clean that you felt you needed to shave?
Hey, that hard hat just rubbed all the hair off, I like to say. But I did that for 10 years.
Okay.
I worked at a power plant till I was 28 years old. I'm 61 now. And I got into real estate at 28. And wow, what a difference compared to today. In 1991, when I got licensed, I always like to talk about the sounds of the offices. And, there were typewriters and no computers and MLS books and the MLS boxes. It was a giant key that we had on our key ring. And it was so different. And it's amazing how many people we lost along the way and we're having a big change right now in real estate. And if agents aren't able to adapt to these changes, we went from the print age to the digital age to the internet age, and we've adapted through 3 decades and been able to maintain a relatively high level of success. I'm not sure today the top producers today in 1991 would not be. There's such a heavy reliance on technology today that the good old fashioned elbow grease, talking to people, knocking on doors, not using robots. Yeah, it was a different game back then. It really was.
And that's what I really think is important to highlight when people look at people's careers. And the internet's a powerful tool when we use it appropriately. But when people see where people are, Vince just posted a $2.2 million listing. And now he's sitting there really explaining where that work ethic came from. And it came from being a janitor. What were you making per hour as a janitor?
I started out at $6.94 an hour. That was big money. That was a union job, International Brotherhood, IEBW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union, $6.94.
How much did milk cost then?
Oh my gosh, 50 cents a gallon.
So crazy. And what about gas?
I don't remember. It was
too old.
It was way too old.
Yeah, I think that what's cool to hear about that just evolution in the process is that just for everyone out there, experience comes with wisdom and time. So I think that, you have to look at the people that have been in the game for a very long time, which is one of the reasons why I respect Vince. And then since our colleague Ellie Lambert's not here too, where did Ellie's career start?
Oh gosh, she started way back. She was like doing the HUD properties back in the day when she started, and she owned a brokerage for over 20 years.
Yeah.
That was even before I met her. And I've been with her 8 years, so
She was a good catch.
She is a great catch.
So she started working on HUD properties.
Right. And it was like we all, she used to do an MLM. She owned little stores. She used to own a place called Dang Chicks that was like an outlet for exchanging clothes. And she really came from humble beginnings as well.
Yeah.
And I've always admired people that have come from humble beginnings and worked their way up. And it's something that not everybody could do. Some people have done it multiple times. I know myself, I've been rich and poor more than anybody that I've
You
ever
want to know
met.
a fun fact?
Yeah.
So my grandfather, back in those days, because I'm 41, so he's long passed away now. But my grandfather became a dentist, and so at that time, the women didn't work. But my grandfather and grandmother had no money, so they moved to the city of Chicago. So my grandmother could, waitress and things like that, and then work in these factories, so he could get enough money to buy used dental equipment when he first opened up his dentist practice.
Right. It's amazing. It's being economical. I mean, I know in our office, we have a Konica Minolta Biz Hub that we bought in 2005. It's a dinosaur, but man, that thing is still a workhorse and
printer
still puts out quality.
for people that
Yeah,
don't know, that is a
absolutely.
printer.
So
And I think that that's what's important, is that like really where all of us came from was we came from people in our family and in our lives where we were taught hard work. My dad always taught me, after I was a dance theater major, I had my son at 19. I was a single mom, had no idea that I would jump into real estate, but he always told me, Betsy, you're going to be overworked and underpaid. And I hated it at the time. What's even crazy to hear you talk about $6 an hour, when I graduated college, and that was even in like '06, I worked at Chestnut Health Centers helping people get rehabilitated in a sober clinic, and I made $9.34 an hour. And so I think that what makes the three of us, and I want you to speak on this, relatable to the agents, is we came from where they're coming from now, walking into an industry with nothing and having to start with nothing. No one hands you a paycheck. You don't have a W-2. Talk about how you kind of relate to them a little bit.
well, really, it's like you have to really surround yourself with people that are helping you, not hurting you.
For sure.
And you've got the Realtor Rise Academy, which helps agents. That's an awesome thing. I know we've got friends, Bill Crane. And
Shout out to Bill.
Shout out to Bill Crane. They've got tools that really help agents. And there's some people that really have that heart in them where they really want to help other people. They're willing to give their time. I know Ellie is obviously one, and one of the most charitable people that I know, and always thinking about the other agents. And if you're not, that's what I love about being on a team. And there's a statistic that came out that people that are on a team make a lot more money than people that are not on a team. It's because of that structure that we talk about. It's the accountability.
For sure.
And those are the things that I think on your own. And one of the things that just blows my mind all the time when I hear people in real estate say, well, I'm going to go back to my dental assistant job, for example. So you're going to go back to work for the man. They're going to say, get up at 5 o'clock, be here at this time, do this. This is your lunch break. This is your break time. When all you have to do in real estate is be disciplined enough to do it yourself. And then you're an entrepreneur. Now you're making the money. You're putting a team together. You're helping people structure their lives. It always just kind of blows me away that people won't do it for themselves, but they'll go work for somebody else and help them get rich and help them achieve their dreams because they're able to tell them how they need to manage their time.
And I think what has been really crazy for me is that, you can go on the internet, you can go on Facebook, and you can look at people's pages. And most of the time, those are the posts where the women have their hair done and they have their lipstick on, and the men they're not on as much, but they might do their gym poses. And that's not true in real life, what happens in real life. And some people can replicate themselves in both. And we both know I'm a pretty straight shooter.
Right.
So you're going to.
It gets us in trouble a lot of times.
Yeah. So I think that at the end of the day, some things I want to clear up is that the biggest thing right now is when you see people in the world and they get a promotion, or someone in the NBA or the NFL gets drafted and they get a pay raise, or they relocate closer to their family, people should celebrate those things for them. They should want everybody to win. And I think there's a big misconception right now on the factor that you and Ellie have chosen to make this career change and that you're selfish and that you did it for yourself. So without touching on the actual career change, just talk about, you go from paper and pen, you go from being a janitor, now you're raising your grandkids, and you have to make a career change. And MLM in real estate's new for you. Kind of explain your thought process.
Yeah, well, it kind of blew me away, because a lot of the false narrative that's out there is that, oh, you're so selfish, you did that. So the previous brand that we came from, if you came to that brand from, let's give an example, if you came from Coldwell Banker and you were on an 80-20 split or a 90-10 split, and you moved to another company because they offered 100% split, and that's good for you, does that make you greedy? Does that make it greedy that you want to sell, instead of selling double wide mobile homes, you want to move into the luxury segment? Does that make you greedy? Trying to improve yourself, it's preposterous to be attacked by trying to do something good for your family. You mentioned, I'm with my three granddaughters. I raised my three granddaughters. I help my dad, who's elderly. And I have a lot of people reaching out to me. And despite that, I always made my time available to agents. And they go, Vince, how do I get into the luxury segment? How do I sell to NFL players, NBA players, NHL players, WWE wrestlers, all of which I've done? I'm not just randomly throwing those out there from a janitor. That was done with intent to improve my life. And I wanted to get into these luxury segments. And for people to say, oh, all of a sudden that's greedy, or that we did it for selfish reasons. Anytime you can improve yourself, you should do it. If that's your motto, and you say, hey, I like being on a 100%, I don't care about rev share, I like the marketing and the tools, that's great. Stay there. If you wanna say I'm in rev share, make sure that you're in the company that's gonna compensate you for building. Listen, what you don't want to do. You don't want to be a founder of a company. You're brand new to the company, and you're building this runway for somebody. And all the founders get on this runway, and they're building this runway. And then you get to the end of the runway, and you're thirsty, and you're pouring down with sweat. And then here goes the airplane taking off on that runway, and all these new people that just joined the company are waving to you down there on the runway that you built for them to take off. I mean, what is the shame in doing something to build yourself and make yourself rich instead of somebody else, and then to be just attacked by it? It was disappointing. It was very disappointing to me. And then anytime you defend yourself, everybody's going to double down. But you know what? All that smoke and all that fluff settles down. And over time, people start to see it for themselves, and they go, oh, well, maybe I do want a little bit of this rev share. I've recruited 150 people, and I'm not making any money, and I'm coaching these people. I'm helping these people increase their production. For who?
Yeah, well,
for $0 and 0 cents. I mean,
think that the situation though is that what I've found is the one thing that has made me realize is like, I am really proud of like who I am.
Right.
Because I feel like, and I'm proud of who my teammates are. I'm proud of you and Ellie. I'm proud of who we are, proud of Danny. And one of the reasons why I'm proud is because a lot of people have reached out to us confidentially. Yes. And what they're writing on the internet is not what they're saying to us. And that's okay.
Oh, yes.
It can be anonymous. But at the end of the day, we have no harm, foul, or disregard for any of the owners of these companies. I don't even know who the owner of Keller Williams is. And I worked at Keller Williams for I didn't make it very long.
Gary Keller.
Great. Yeah. I wouldn't even know. Like I wouldn't know anything about
I don't know who Williams is if he's even there.
Yeah. I don't know who owns Coldwell Banker.
Fred Caldwell.
Okay, see,
No,
he's old.
I can't.
Now Vince is trying to trump me.
I can't back that up with paperwork.
But you see what I'm saying? We don't know any of these people, so there's no difference with Gene Frederick with EXP and Robert Palmer with LPT and Sharon and Tamir with Real in their positions there. Maybe they're not owners.
Glenn Sanford.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't forget the godfather of residual, Steve Morris, who invented Exit Realty. That was the first that started and doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah,
Steve Morris, tip of the hat to you because you are the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, but all of those people, right, they are still human beings. And I feel like what everyone has done on the internet currently is they've now associated a human being with who they work for, meaning the brand of the company. And I think that's preposterous because I think that the same Vincent Acuri that was with Exit, that was with LPT, that was with Real is the same Vincent Acuri. And I feel like the Betsy Tinervin that was with a boutique broker for 4.5 years, that then tried EXP and COVID hit, circumstances change in the world. And I really want to hit home with something. You said bettering yourself and looking at opportunities. I don't believe that as people are driving down the road in their car, that they don't want to be better than yesterday. And I don't think that that means that just because you make a change in your life that you're being selfish. And so I really want one thing to be said really clearly here. You had 700 people in an organization. You had people calling you saying, Vince, I'm not winning. I'm not winning, Vince. And so besides you seeing an opportunity for your family, what was the opportunity for the agents that you saw?
The people what really blew me away is I felt like when we made the move to the new company, that the people that would have benefited from the move with us the most, they don't see it yet. They're just like, they've got these huge,
or they're scared.
They have these huge downlines and they're really not making any money from it. But that's something that everybody has to make their own unique decisions. And they, just like Ellie and I and Danny and you and we all we're all people, like you said. I know one of the things I get, and I get this a lot, Queenie, you can believe this or not.
Vince calls me Queenie, so you know.
But I can get this, people call me up and they say, hey, I can't believe you teamed up with Betsy Tinervin, and Betsy Tinervin's the devil. Betsy, let me tell you, I am going to say something because we all grow up in different environments. You grew up in Chicago. I met you. I had a disdain for you when I met you. I couldn't stand you. I couldn't stand
I'm glad we're addressing this publicly because people think that me and Vince have this animosity towards each other, and we don't.
But I've learned that from where you come from, I'm from the South. I was born here. You're from Chicago. And sometimes you're just, and the people out there that say, oh, Betsy, I can't believe it. Betsy is very no nonsense and she's direct to the point. She doesn't fluff, or I think me and Ellie fluff, and me and Ellie are on the phone with people at 12 o'clock at night, walking them through their deal the next day, whereas you're just cut right to the chase and get it done. And some people, it rubs them the wrong way, but they don't realize there's 40 people doing that to you. It's not just them. And you've got a heart as big as Texas and you help anybody. As a matter of fact, my daughter, Angelina, became a real estate an agent this year. The first place I sent her, as I said, you're going to shadow Betsy, and Betsy's going to be rough. And what happened? My daughter, the first week, she was like, oh my God, Betsy's rough. And then the next week she goes, I love Betsy. Betsy's this.
She said, I learned more than a week than I did in 6
She was with me for a month and a half. She goes, I learned more in a couple of days with Betsy than I did with you in a month and a half, Dad. And it's true. It's that you're willing to share, but you're operating at such a high level. You're running a real estate training academy. You're doing tremendous business yourself.
That.
And you are no nonsense to the point. And it's how we manage our time. And if nothing else, I manage my time poorly because from sun up to sundown, I'm doing my business. I'm raising the kids. And then at night, I'm talking to people. Whereas you're to the point, direct, get on, get off, tell them what they want to hear. And some people in this business have very thin skin.
But I think you're realizing that.
And their feelings get hurt. That somebody's
wait. I think that Vince is realizing this, though, because the truth is when Vince is saying what people want to hear, they're okay with it.
Right.
But the minute that you take a stand, and so I think that what's happening in the world in general is that people are very quick to pass judgment and they want to make everything about self.
Betsy, I want to,
And I think that's brutal, because when Vince and I in the beginning tried to work with each other 2 years ago, there was conflict in that. But even myself, when you take a step back and go, Vince's response to me or Betsy's response to me isn't about me. It's not about us. It's about someone else and how they're trying to navigate through, which is what you just touched on. And I really wanted you to say, you say so much with heart. And I know that that's why even today we had a whole conversation before we made this episode about how we wanted people to really hear us. And so I think even with you, Vince has a heart and he wants to help. And he's so passionate. If you've ever heard Vince speak about luxury or this or that or helping these people, his passion just bleeds through that. And so I think some of that is coming out on the internet from both of us.
right.
I can't believe they let us do a video
listen,
alone.
I have to say this. I had somebody, and I had one of the people that came with us to the new organization saying, so-and-so who was in my organization says that, and was smashing me about, I promised this and I promised that, and I never coached them and I never did this and I never did that. These people, some of you guys, I'm in the office every day, sun up to sundown.
And on the weekends.
Nobody, you tell me, comment on this video if I've ever told you no. What do these people want me to go to their house, knock on their door and say, wake up, it's time for me to do a training for you. And some people are inherently lazy, and this person is, but suddenly I'm to blame because they're in my organization and they're failing because they didn't plug in to the trainings that we did. So what do is they blame and they bounce from team to team to team. This guy's like on his 4th team now. And he's like, everybody's fault that they're not successful. Well, when I started, there was no technology. There was no internet. It was pure hustle. I got out of bed in the morning. I knocked on doors. I did direct mail. You did open houses. You knocked on the neighbors' doors to announce your open house. You hustled. And the people, they always want to blame somebody else for their failures. I don't blame anybody. If I'm not happy, I move. If it's not benefiting me, I move.
But
if there's a better opportunity for me, I move.
How do you explain that? So when you're talking about differentiate really quick, this guy goes from team to team to team and places the blame. Now you have critics out there,
right,
saying you went from this place to this place.
Once again, I'm going to explain again. Anytime, if I was a doctor and I just graduated medical school, everybody hates when I use these analogies. And I'm at the,
that's when we get the comments.
Here comes the hate. I'm at the ER and I'm sleeping in the closet at night, working in the ER. And then somebody in Chicago offers you an internship at their place. And it's a better hospital. There's better tools. There's better technology. You have an opportunity to elevate your game. So you move and you go there. And then you know what? You do really well there. And somebody notices you at St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa, and they go, hey, we want to make you chief of staff here. And then what are people saying? Oh, you're greedy because you went from just a regular old heart surgeon to being chief of staff of Tampa General Hospital, and you're greedy. You left because it isn't about the money. It's about being able, a lot of people don't know my dreams and my aspirations and what, and I've never talked about this. But
I love it.
I want to pop it. I want to pop.
What are your dreams, Vince?
My reason for wanting to make as much money as I can, and what I do, because I don't drive a Lamborghini. I'm not driving a McLaren. I'm not collecting cars and having all these expensive toys. My ultimate goal is to go into the inner city where I feel like the people have been let down by our government, and there is an opportunity, I think, where these children that live in the ghetto, for example, their role models are professional athletes and drug dealers, because there are no positive role models for them. And to be able to come up with a center where when school ends, for example, they're getting free lunches at school, but over the summer, they don't get the free food. There needs to be a safe place for them to go. A lot of them have irresponsible parents. There's a safe place that they could go and they could get something to eat, maybe have somebody tutor them with their homework, and teachers would volunteer. You would have law enforcement people there, recreational a facility for them.
You'd like to open that.
I want to open that. And then, of course, after I'm going to have to self-fund it. And then at that point, I could see if I could get donations or I could duplicate that all over the country. That's my reason why I want to make it. If anybody says,
and now you're also raising your grandkids.
I'm raising my grandkids.
And why are you raising your grandkids?
I'm raising my grandkids. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances, and I ended up with 3 of my 4 grandchildren, sharing them with the other grandmother, raising them 50-50 with them. So it's a tremendous responsibility at a 61 years old to go back to that, which men in their 20s and 30s and 40s are doing. Unfortunately, it's just a set of circumstances that I've dealt with. I'm trying to let those kids live their best life. And
that little one's pretty cute.
They're adorable.
I'm not, Vince.
You're a bad girl. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But
that's an eye-opening thing, though, to be hit with that at your age.
Oh, it is. But I mean, getting back to helping people, it's something that I've always done. And I don't have aspirations to have, all these luxury things. I have aspirations to help people. And I don't put that on the internet. This is the first time I've ever even really talked about it. And I kind of was hesitant about even talking about it.
You got a little emotional.
But you go to, you see people that are less fortunate than you. And that's one of the things where people come out and say, oh, they're selfish. They did this for selfish reasons. I don't understand the rationale. Anytime you have an opportunity, you're at your brokerage because you thought it was an improvement from where you came from. But yet somebody else does it and you only look at how it impacts you. And because your feelings got hurt, you feel like somehow I abandoned or I was paid to go to this new company, which I was not. Selfish. I left with 715 people in my line. I was making, between me and Ellie, we were making $17,000 the last month we were there in residual income. We had 40,000 shares of stock. If I was selfish, I would have parked my ass right there and kept on going to that and driving that number up. But ultimately, selfish, we didn't get paid to move to the new brokerage.
At all.
I took a stand for what I thought the agents needed to improve the brand, which didn't happen. So we moved on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, agent choice. We moved on to another brokerage, and that's what I did. And we all have that choice. And for people to say, oh, I'm selfish. I started at 0. You know how many agents I started with over here? 0. You know how much residual income I'm getting? 0. So, and you know how many stocks I have in the company right now? 0. I said, here it is. Give it all back. And then people are coming at us and they don't know the backstory. We had meetings with the founder of that company. We told them what the shortcomings that we felt were and how they needed. The agents were complaining to us nonstop about how unfair this was. And then we speak up and we take a stand. And you know what? To all those people that stayed, you're welcome. Because eventually those things are going to change for the better. But unfortunately, it takes people like us to leave and make a stand before the people in power go, you know what? This is something that is really...
It happens to our whole country.
Yeah, this is something that the people are not happy with. So the change eventually comes. But if everybody shuts up about it and doesn't say anything and doesn't do anything, it never changes. So when those changes happen, guys, you're welcome.
I definitely want to conclude on something. And for anyone out there watching, I'm a firm believer in staying true to yourself. And there are things that you learn and you grow. And self-growth is really where people become successful. If you focus on self-growth, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, a real estate agent, and you focus on self-growth, your business will flourish. And I'm really grateful that I have 2 senior citizens I work with.
We're not going to conclude just yet.
Hold on. I'm glad I have 2 senior citizens I work with because a lot of things that Vince and I do talk about is Vince will say to me, Betsy, 20 years ago, I would do X, Y, and Z. And that's where I'm at in my career.
Right.
And today I look at X, Y, and Z. But the one thing that the one thing, if you will,
If you will. Dusty roads, if you will. Golden Thola, if you will.
The one thing, if you will, I will take credit for with my friends, Ellie and Vince here, is I've told them to stand firm and stay true to who they are. And I do not feel that either one of them move with anything but class. I think they're human beings. I think I'm a human being. And in one thing, even Vince mentioned to me today, driving here, that Ellie did was Ellie was leading our whole organization of realtors during COVID.
Yes.
and stopped her own production to pour into the agents, because during COVID, it was kind of like this NAR settlement. It was a big shock. Nobody knew how to operate. And I countlessly watch Vince and Ellie buy ink and paper and coffee and snacks and take phone calls. And from a lot of people, not in their organization, not in production in real estate, simply because that's who they are. So if you're watching this video, if you get successful, you are going to have hate. You are going to have people that prejudge you, but I just want you to stay true to yourself. And I will let Vince get out his final thought, but I do think that was something important for me to let you guys know is stay true to yourself, keep your integrity intact. But if you feel that you need to take a stand on something that is not right or just something you want to speak about, we live in America and you can do that.
Absolutely. And, I do want to conclude with this. Residual is not a dirty word. I think a lot of people, real estate agents go, oh, they're selfish because it's all about recruiting. It's recruiting. I thought the hypocrisy of all hypocrisies is somebody that was the biggest recruiter in the previous company calling me out saying, oh, we're selfish. And, when this person stood us up on a training call for the agents because he was recruiting somebody, I have the text messages if anybody would like to see it. But improving, I don't blame that guy for recruiting.
No.
Recruiting is our way of retirement. In the past, people work for these big corporations. Coldwell Banker has been around for over 100 years. And those executives, countless executives, have retired from their work with those companies, and they've gone into a very luxurious retirement. But the agents that were building the company did not. Steve Morris, founder of Exit Realty, had one of the most innovative ideas of single level residuals. Glenn Sanford came in and he threw a different spin on it, went 7 levels deep. Gary Keller came in, he did the profit sharing, limited success. Most people are not happy with that from what I hear. And then you got Robert Palmer, who came in with LPT, and he did it with a hybrid model that you can go up and down. And in my view, if you're 100% agent, that's still the best model going. If you're 100% agent,
sure.
That's a great model. And then companies like Real came along, and they really, to me, perfected the rev share model to the point where you really don't. I mean, I look at some of the people in the other organizations. If they were here, they'd be making a substantial amount of money. Don't be ashamed of that. And people say, well, I don't know how to recruit. I'm not a recruiter. Well, you didn't know how to sell real estate either when you got into real estate, but we're talking to real estate agents every day. If you love the technology, if you love the tools, if you love the marketing that company does, it's an easy sell. You don't have to sell them on the residual aspect.
Well, Vince, have you
later.
bought new cars? Has anybody out there bought a new car? Why do you buy a new car, Vince? Because guess what? The model upgrades.
Exactly.
You get a new computer system. You get a new rim on your tire. I've driven Mercedes for years now, and every time I upgrade my car, and I drove a 2015 Mercedes, for the record, with 100,000 miles on it up until 15 months ago. And then they make a lot of money. And then I upgraded to a 2020 and I was like, oh, okay. So I think there's nothing wrong with growth. There's nothing wrong with opportunity. But I think our point of really talking to people today is please don't forget who we are. Because I don't think anyone on the internet can say, I mean, first of all, Danny Perez smiles everywhere he walks.
Right.
I don't think that guy never has a smile on his face. And Vince and Ellie have been in this industry over 35 years each. And ever since most of you have met me, whether it's back home in Illinois or local in Florida now since 2015, I've been the biggest cheerleader, and that hasn't changed. We as people have not changed. And we do, apologize if we have personally offended anyone. But I think that you will never really find anything out there on the internet that Vince, Ellie, and Danny and I have not supported any agent that we've known in their success, no matter what brokerage they were at. We're the first to say, go win. We're the first to say, yes, we're proud of you. And I have a lot of people not in real estate in my past careers. So do you, Vince. And we're the first to say that. So we congratulate everybody on their wins. And I want to congratulate you on your win, bud. And I think we can make that center happen.
Betsy, I'm cheering for your success.
I've been cheering for you, buddy. and just for the record, if you do have a relationship with somebody that starts off rocky, like Vince and I have learned a lot from Vincent and Curie, and I think we both feel that way. And I couldn't be prouder. The best thing that has happened to me over the last 2 years is the people I've chosen to partner with. And if you are with or without our brokerage, please just keep tuning into the Real Deal podcast. We're going to speak to all agents nationwide about what you can do to be better. Until next time.
See you guys next time.